guys. Today I want to talk a little bit about pitching mechanics, and I want to take a few minutes and go over back leg drive because I think it's one of the most important aspects of lower body mechanics that are going to help pitchers improve their velocity by a lot. A lot of times when young pitchers come and say they don't throw hard and they don't know why it is, they always focus on the arm. They always say, "Why isn't my arm strong enough? I don't understand. I play a lot of long toss and I'm a strong kid and all this stuff." Well, I always try to explain to people, whether it's hitting or pitching or running or whatever it might be, it's not always just about how big you are or strong or how many you've pitched for a long time, so therefore you should throw harder. A lot of times it comes down to how you move your body, what your mechanics are like, and a lot of time it's lower body mechanics. It's not always People focus a lot on the arm and what the arm is doing, but if the lower body isn't working right and your mechanics from the waist down aren't working right, um, then it's going to affect your arm speed, your arm action, a lot of things. So today, I just want to talk a little bit about um, back leg drive because it's one of the early things that we do when we're pitching, something a lot of players do incorrectly. Um, and if you do it incorrectly, you're not going to throw as hard. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is what exactly is back leg drive? What does that mean? It doesn't just mean driving off the back leg, because you can drive off the back leg in different ways. If you do it incorrectly, once again, it's going to lead to lower pitching velocity. But when I say back leg drive, what I basically mean is the back leg, driving off the back leg, but getting the back leg extended before we turn and rotate the throw. So before the front foot is about to come down on the ground, the back leg needs to be fully extended. You can't shortchange yourself and have a bent back leg and not be driving all the way through and getting extended on the backside, or else your pitching velocity is going to be hurt. So the second question is, how do we do it properly? There's a right way to do it, there's a wrong way to do it. Okay, so there's a few things that you need to look at or focus on if you want to do this correctly. It's the back foot, the back knee, and the back hip. So first with the back foot. To really get the maximum back leg drive, your back foot needs to stay anchored to the ground. You need to feel like you're really getting into the ground. Now, a lot of times what you'll see is when a pitcher will drive off the mound, their heel will start to pick up too early, and when that happens, the pitcher is starting to rotate. When you start to rotate too early, your back heel is going to pick up, and that's going to mean that you're starting to rotate and you're not going to complete your back leg drive. So the first thing you got to look at is your back heel. Make sure it's staying down in contact with the rubber for as long as possible until your back leg drive is pretty much complete, and then it's going to pick up because you're going to start to rotate, and you can't rotate without picking that back heel up. So the first thing to focus on is keeping that back heel securely planted in the ground and staying there while you complete your back leg drive. The second thing to look at is your knee. Now, one of the most common faults that reduce pitching velocity is early hip rotation. And a lot of times the number one problem is that's created by the position of your back knee in relation to your back foot. So if you draw a line from your foot to your knee to your hip, this is where you're going to be able to see a lot of flaws. So when you go into weight shift, or when you start driving off your back leg, if your knee gets positioned inside your foot, then you're going to lose your ability to use your entire back leg and to be able to really drive off that and drive off your back hip to get that full leg drive. And this is going to make your velocity go way down. So what you need to do is you need to teach yourself how to drive off your back leg. Now it doesn't get confusing, but it's a lot easier in person to kind of show you the way that you need to do this. But what you want to think of is you can't let your back knee collapse underneath you. You need to keep that back knee relatively over your back foot. It's not going to stay completely over your back foot because you're driving off and you're gaining ground towards the plate. But you want to think of keeping that back knee over your back foot. So think about pushing. I describe it as trying to keep that knee outward. You want to try to push that knee outward. That's going to help you drive better and really gain ground towards the mound without letting your knee collapse. If your knee collapses, you're going to start to rotate too early. And early rotation is a big thing for velocity going down. So focus on that back knee, keeping it out, keeping it over the back foot while you're driving off, and let your hip really drive to the plate. Now we could talk about this topic for a while, but because I only have a 10-minute video, I got to keep it kind of short. So I want to finish up by talking a little bit about why it's important. Why is back leg drive important? The first thing is, like anything, we're building up momentum. So the more you can drive off your back leg and stay square to the plate, the more momentum you're going to create. When I say stay square, I mean keep that front shoulder and the front hip on the plate. Don't rotate too early. The longer we can move towards the plate, the more momentum we're creating, the harder we're going to throw. Second thing is, if we don't get that back leg drive and we start to rotate too early, well, now our momentum is decreased because we haven't moved as far. Our stride length is decreased, so we're not getting as close to the mound. A lot of times you'll see players with really short strides. It's because they rotate too early, because they don't drive off their back leg very well. Not all the time, but most of the time that's what happens. You rotate too early, you don't get enough momentum, your arm gets involved in the whole throwing process way too soon. Your arm gets involved too soon, well, you're not going to throw as hard because you haven't allowed yourself to create very much force. You're not allowing the body to create force to get the arm involved later, which acts like a slingshot or rubber band effect, and you get that good whip. All these things are going to contribute to not throwing as hard, and they all could have been prevented by getting better back leg drive. That's why I like to start with the back leg, work on that. If you can get the back leg drive working properly, well, it's going to help alleviate a lot of other problems that are in the pitching motion. You start right off the bat and have poor back leg drive, well, then it causes early rotation, it causes your arm to get involved too early, it causes a whole bunch of things to happen. So I wanted to start today by talking a little bit about back leg drive, getting that understood, getting that down, and then from there, you move on. You can look at different aspects of the pitching motion. So I hope this helps. I know it gets a little bit confusing, especially here online. If you want to talk more about it, email us, send us a message. We'll talk more about it. Send us your video if you have it. All right. Hope this helped. Hope you guys understand where I'm coming from with this, and keep working on it. I know it'll improve your velocity, your control, a bunch of different things. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later.